Zoe nodded. Yes. I suppose they'll be asking for compensation too. Levi sipped from his glass and said with a smile, "That's all right. They will regret their decisions soon." What do you mean? Zoe was puzzled. Be patient. Someone will invest in that project very soon, Levi comforted her. Do you have a plan in your mind? Zoe looked at Levi curiously. Don't worry. This matter will be resolved after today, Levi assured Zoe and her parents calmly. But they were not convinced by Levi's words because they were up against the Northampton Chamber of Commerce. Everyone involved in the business world in Northampton was well aware of the Northampton Chamber of Commerce's influence. The Northampton Chamber of Commerce was controlled by the 4 ultra-wealthy families in the cities, under the management of 8 council members. The chairman of Fit Group's board of directors, Alaric Taylor, was one of the council members. Alaric wanted to seek revenge on Zoe and her family because of what happened to Charles. All the investors for Zoe's project withdrew their capital because of a single command from him. The Northampton Chamber of Commerce was a formidable organization as they could easily sever all connections related to the Lopez family's businesses. The news of Levi's violent act spread like wildfire in Northampton that day. They demanded a large amount of compensation and prevented anyone from investing in Zoe's project. A lot of companies were interested in the West City Ecological Park project initially because of its promising prospect. The potential investors immediately erased the thought in their minds because of that warning from the Chamber of Commerce. Zoe was left helpless and clueless as to how she should salvage the situation while being ostracized by the entire industry. But the bad news did not end there. Zoe's employees handed their resignation letters one after another. Even the secretary involved in the incident last night quitted her job. The secretary also made an official statement. She told the public that Charles and his business partners did not step a toe out of the line. They were having an ordinary dinner banquet when she witnessed Levi entering the room and tormenting everyone mercilessly. Boom. Zoe's mind went blank upon receiving the news. Someone must have bribed her. She suddenly became their witness against Levi. Susie passed out last night. Charles and his friends would have defiled her if Levi did not show up. Levi rescued her, but she betrayed us. We nourished a viper in our midst. Zoe could not fathom Susie's abrupt change in loyalty. I picked her out personally among all the fresh graduates, so I certainly did not expect her to do this. I can understand the other employees' decisions to leave, but Susie. Zoe sat in her office gloomily as unprecedented desperation washed over her. The door to her office was pushed open after some time. A few men clad in suits entered the room. Allow me to introduce myself, Ms. Lopez. I am Baker Mackenzie from Botts & Ellis LLP. We are hired by Mrs. Dickens to represent her son, Mr. Charles Dickens, in this lawsuit. We came here to inform you about the compensation amount you have to pay our client due to the injuries your husband, Mr. Levi Garrison, inflicted on our client. The sum is $800 million. Please take a look. Baker handed Zoe a piece of paper. Zoe's face turned pale after she skimmed through the document. We will press charges against you and your husband if you do not wish to settle this matter in private. We have a large amount of evidence, including surveillance footage, witnesses from the hotel's waiters. The official statement from Ms. Susie Bones, and 8 other victims in this incident. Let me remind you. This lawsuit is highly advantageous to us. Please take a look at this injury report too. Do you think you have the liberty to choose, Ms. Lopez? Botts & Ellis LLP was a law firm established by Zoe's ex-classmate, Arnold Botts. That firm was one of the most prestigious firms in Northampton. They won almost all the cases they accepted. Zoe was devastated. She was frightened when she saw the injury report. I can't imagine the things Levi must have done to cause so much damage. But I can certainly picture the troubles we have to face soon. We will have a tough time ahead because of this injury report alone. Although Charles and his business partners wronged me in the first place, I do not have any evidence that prove their vile acts. Also, allow me to inform you this, Ms. Lopez, I am the best lawyer in my firm. Ever since they hired me at Botts & Ellis LLP, the firm had never lost a single case. So trust me, this lawsuit will not be an exception. You should think wisely now. Baker sneered. Baker's assistant added, I heard your husband, Levi Garrison, was released from prison recently. With his record, it is not so difficult to place him behind the bars again. The group of lawyers manipulated the situation to their advantage with the sole purpose of driving Zoe into a corner. All right then, we will be waiting for your reply, Ms. Lopez. Consider your options well. Baker and the others left afterward. Zoe was left alone inside her office. Tears welled up in her eyes as she thought to herself, perhaps I can seek help from Arnold. He pursued me in the past, but I rejected him. Zoe spent a lot of effort to obtain Arnold Botts' number. Then she called him. Oh. Why are you contacting me, Zoe? Arnold said in a surprised tone. Zoe forced a smile. Hello, Arnold. I will cut to the chase. I am facing some difficulties. Yes, I know. You are talking about the incident involving Levi Garrison and Charles Dickens from Fick Group, am I right? Yes, that's right. Can you help me with this lawsuit? We can discuss the price to fit your liking, Zoe pleaded with sincerity. Arnold grinned. I am aware of this lawsuit because the best lawyer in my firm accepted the case. I will be frank with you, will have a difficult time trying to win against him for this case. Let me offer you a piece of my mind, Zoe. You should ditch Levi while you can. He is just a useless man now. Let him return to the jail. Then, you can remarry someone better. Everyone from our high school is doing far better than Levi Garrison. Take me for an example. My law firm, Botts & Ellis LLP, has been flourishing for the past 10 years. There are a lot of outstanding lawyers working for me currently, Arnold persuaded Zoe. Zoe countered immediately, Levi did not hurt them on purpose. Charles and his friends tried to take advantage of me after getting me drunk. Levi was merely rescuing me. That's impossible. I have been friends with Mr. Dickens for a long time now. He's a gentleman, as far as I am concerned. He will never do such things. His friends are as noble as him. Do you have any evidence to back your words? Arnold said. Zoe did not expect Arnold to be in cahoots with Charles and his gang. Don't worry, Zoe. I will make sure Baker does a splendid job this time and push for Levi to be sentenced to life imprisonment. You will have the opportunity to ditch him soon. Arnold laughed wickedly. You don't have to worry about my matters. Moreover, you are not qualified to judge my husband's character. Zoe hung up the phone angrily. Inside the office of Botts & Ellis LLP's building, Arnold crossed his feet on the table while wearing a suit. He was sipping casually on a cup of coffee. He had accepted this case immediately and devised a plan for Alaric Taylor when he heard Zoe was involved in this matter. Arnold ordered his subordinate, inform Mr. Taylor to prohibit all the law firms in Northampton from accepting Zoe's case using his connections. His assistant nodded. Yes, sir. All the law firms in Northampton soon received the news. No one is allowed to accept Zoe Lopez's case. Zoe, on the other hand, was oblivious as she wasted all her time contacting every law firm she could to fight for her lawsuit. But every firm turned her down. Zoe quickly realized something was wrong after receiving the continuous rejections. Someone is pushing me into the depth of despair. They want to send Levi into prison and ruin everything I have. Zoe dialed Levi's number without wasting another second. Levi was astounded by the turn of events when he arrived at Zoe's office. I did not expect this to happen. Perhaps I have underestimated the Chamber of Commerce's authority. Well, Arnold Botz's involvement is out of my initial consideration too. We are left with two choices. We can either pay the sum of $800 million or proceed with the lawsuit. But I contacted all the law firms I could, and all of them refused to represent us, Zoe sobbed. You don't have to think about the lawsuit anymore. They have planned everything, down to cutting off all your resources and connections. But believe me, this is not the extent of their plans. Levi's smile widened. The legal team from Fit Group arrived shortly after as Levi had predicted. They requested Zoe to compensate them with a sum of $300 million for Charles Dickens's injuries and the delay of the West City Ecological Park's progress. I did breach the agreement. And it is clearly written on the agreement that I have to compensate them with 10 times the amount they invested. Before Zoe had time to catch her breath, Alaric sent his men from the Northampton Chamber of Commerce to visit Zoe. They offered to purchase Zoe's company for $300 million, including the West City Ecological Park project. Boom. Zoe was flabbergasted. They planned everything. They are pushing me into the traps they laid out for me, one after the other. I will be left with nothing by the time this incident comes to an end. Alaric offered to buy out my company for $300 million. Then I will have no other choice but to pay Fit Group with a lump sum for breaching the contract. They will take control of all my assets, worth up to $1 billion, in a breeze. My assets will depreciate further if I do not agree now, since I do not have sufficient cash flow to operate my business at this point. $300 million is already considered a great deal. Alaric and Arnold were proud of this scheme they devised because they would be able to rob Zoe's possessions while pushing Levi into jail simultaneously. Alaric's subordinate said with a smile, "Our offer coincides with the amount you have to pay Fit Group for breaching the contract. If you agree to our proposal, let's handle the procedures right away." Zoe hesitated. I will have to pay $300 million. I really do not have any other choice. Should I just accept this offer? Hesitate no more, Ms. Lopez. Your asset may depreciate to $200 million tomorrow. That person urged Zoe to agree to his offer. Levi suddenly voiced out at that moment. $300 million? That's not a problem. Everyone was astounded by Levi's statement. Zoe was not an exception. $300 million is not a problem? He's talking big again. Don't worry. I can afford $3 billion, not to mention $300 million. Let's just wait until tomorrow before we decide anything. Zoe looked at Levi incredulously. Are you really capable of acquiring the money? Did I say that I would pay them? Why should we do that? We are not at fault in this incident. Levi smiled. But they have all the evidence. We have no other choice but to concede. Zoe rubbed her temples. All you have to do now is to proceed with your work as usual. You can approve the resignations of your employees, but you need to make a statement in advance. Tell them that anyone who quits their job now will not be accepted in Imperial Meadows from now on. The employees who stay with the company through this crisis will receive an increased salary and more benefits. Levi told Zoe what to do. But we have no money to fund our operations now. Moreover, no one will dare to invest in my company after that official warning given by the Northampton Chamber of Commerce, Zoe said with uncertainty. Just do as I say. Someone will invest in your company today, Levi assured her. Zoe placed her faith in Levi and heeded his advice. She made the announcement as Levi suggested. Many of her employees were enraged to receive the notice. There is no need for me to return to this rubbish company anyway. That's right. Imperial Meadows is going bankrupt soon. What's the point of acting tough now? Zoe merely endured the insults in silence. At that moment, a Maybach stopped in front of Imperial Meadows' building. A few men got out of the car. The man leading the group was dressed in a suit and wearing a pair of sunglasses. That man was none other than Kieran. Today, he was playing the role of a company's president instead of a military instructor. Hello, please inform Ms. Lopez that Levi Group's president, Mr. Rhodes, is here to meet her. The receptionist immediately contacted Zoe after Kieran's assistant spoke to her. Zoe came to the lobby to welcome Kieran in person afterward. Kieran was a skilled fighter and an experienced instructor, but he wasn't familiar with business talks. Hence, he addressed Zoe in a straightforward manner. I would like to invest in an ongoing project under your company, Ms. Lopez. I will provide you a $300 million capital for now. Let's sign the contract now if you agree to my offer. His assistant handed the contract to Zoe after Kieran waved his hand. Zoe was shocked after she glanced through the agreement. This is not a collaboration. He might as well just give me the money. Kieran added, we have an ongoing medical-related project as well. I know your company has expertise in this field, so we will let you handle this project too, Ms. Lopez. The assistant handed Zoe another document. That project would only provide Zoe's company with a $100 million investment, but that was mainly due to Imperial Meadows' limited capacity. Will you agree to my offer, Ms. Lopez? Kieran inquired. Of course. Thank you so much, Mr. Rhodes. Zoe expressed her gratitude agitatedly. Then, she gazed at Kieran curiously. If you do not mind me asking, Mr. Rhodes, why are you choosing to invest in my company when we are in a tight spot? I have to ask because I cannot think of a valid reason myself. Kieran answered, firstly, I have faith in your company's prospect because your business is in demand. The second reason is that I am not afraid of the Northampton Chamber of Commerce. What kind of relationship do you share with Levi Garrison, Mr. Rhodes? Zoe questioned. The words slipped out of Kieran's mouth subconsciously. He's someone with great potential, in my opinion. Levi Group's advancement in the medical field was unparalleled in the past. I acquired Levi Group and the Garrison family's businesses because I do not want this technology to go to waste. I came here to invest in your company partly because of this reason too. Okay. I understand now. The investment made by the mysterious Mr. Rhodes spread quickly throughout the entire Northampton. The Northampton Chamber of Commerce was one of the few to take particular interest in that news. Alaric Taylor, an obese man, was puffing on his cigar inside his office. Who is this Neil Rhodes? Why have I never heard of him? Alaric's assistant replied. We have investigated his background. There is limited information on him. I don't know what's wrong with the Rogers family. Why did they give him Levi Group and Garrison Group all of a sudden? Check out the relationship between Neil Rhodes and the Rogers family, Alaric ordered. Then, he put on a mischievous smile. It doesn't matter to me even if you obtained that investment from Levi Group, Zoe Lopez. You cannot save Levi Garrison anyway. This is the repercussion you must face for harming my godson. No one expected Charles Dickens to be Alaric's godson. Zoe's company was finally getting back on track after she received the investment. But I must pay the penalty for breaching the contract. Otherwise, Levi will face time in jail. I am still worried about this because there's no way I can collect so much money in this short period of time. Meanwhile, Levi was hanging out with Azure Dragon and the others. Azure Dragon laughed out loud when he was informed of the ongoing situation. Ha ha ha. What a joke. Is there actually someone who has the guts to send you into prison at this time and age? Levi shared his thoughts while smoking a cigarette. I did not expect these foreigners to have the support of the Northampton Chamber of Commerce. What are you going to do next, sir? Azure Dragon asked. Firstly, I will visit those people who committed perjury. Then, I will deal with the lawyers. The last thing to do is to show the necessary evidence to deport those foreigners, Levi elaborated. Evidence? But there is no evidence as far as I am concerned. Azure Dragon was astounded. However, he quickly gained revelation at the sight of Levi's sly smile. Levi Garrison was a man with a plan. He was not only a formidable enemy on the battlefield with unrivaled combat skills, that man was also a brilliant tactician. Dealing with that incident was a piece of cake to him. He had deliberately left traces behind when dealing with Charles and the others last night. Phoenix took up the responsibility to look for the few waiters in the hotel who had falsified statements as witnesses that night. Levi and Azure Dragon went to meet with Zoe's secretary, Susie. Levi had to deal with matters related to his wife in person. At that moment, youngsters were dancing to the music inside the space bar located in Northampton. Susie treated her friends to party in the bar after receiving $1 million in cash from Alaric that day. She booked the VIP table in the bar and even ordered the most luxurious meal they had. Susie was washing her hand with a bottle of expensive champagne when Levi arrived at the bar. He sat quietly next to Susie and chatted with her casually. Are you having fun spending the money Alaric Taylor gave you? Susie was stunned when she heard Levi's voice. When did he appear next to me? Why are you here, Levi Garrison? And what nonsense did you spout? Susie recollected her thoughts after a while. Levi beamed at her. I remember you were drunk as well last night. I saved you and arranged for someone to send you home. The color drained from Susie's face as she listened to him. She refuted his statement firmly. Nonsense. I wasn't drunk yesterday, nor did you save me. Go on. Please go on with your lies. Levi smiled. Susie's male friends stood up and surrounded Levi in an instant. Who the hell are you, kiddo? What's going on here?